This is Slim Reaper Beats.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Perfect.
Welcome back to a special edition to the Excuse Me Brother podcast. I'm your host, Brother Jay.
And Simo, you usually introduce. I don't know why you looking at me like I don't know what no crap. It's me, Brother Tay. Getting the weird looks. Like I did something wrong. It's only we.
Listen, we back. We like to take our little breaks every now and then. Life be life in and things be going on. We got things going on outside of here and stuff like that. But it's important that we keep the content coming, keep the content rolling. Right, Tay?
Yes, it is. It's
Last
always important.
time we spoke to y'all, the Knicks were champions, so we still experiencing that hangover. Knicks in 5, baby. Knicks in 5.
Let's go.
No, but today I wanted to do a special episode because one, we haven't had a guest on this year, and I wanted to do something that was a little different than what we've normally done with our guests. I wanted to I wanted to invite someone who's in a field that I think is probably whose importance is probably super relevant at this time and age. We spoke to a gentleman by the name of Garfield Hylton. He's a journalist, and I wanted to talk about the importance of journalism today and news and fact checking and misinformation. So today you're gonna hear a lot about this brother and what he's done in the journalistic game and how he's navigated the field of journalism and how he's, given us some tips and information on how to navigate the field.
It'll be off.
It's going to
Get to me.
Yeah, it was a really good interview, don't you think so?
I loved it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, everyone. Well, I will tell you how I found Garfield. I follow him on Threads, and Threads, if anybody knows what Threads is it's like a Twitter / Instagram kind of thing. It operates like Twitter, but it feels like Instagram. It's just a lot less raunchy than Twitter. Twitter's accessible now. Yes, Twitter's accessible. It's disgusting.
That's not what I was thinking.
What were we thinking?
Do it though. What did you say? Something. I'm saying that's what it made.
I said it operates like Twitter, but it feels like Instagram because you have to have your Instagram connected to the account. You know what I mean? So, fair enough. But yeah, I follow him on Threads, and he's actually I actually found him some of his posts and replies very entertaining. But I didn't even know that he was a journalist until once I just clicked on his profile and it said journalist, freelance writer. I was like, oh shit. You know what I mean? Because I was just like, okay, I want to interview a journalist. I want to talk to somebody in journalism, and I couldn't find anybody. So I just happened to click on his page, and there he was. So I was like, listen, let me read some of your stuff. Come on the show. You talk about your work and what you do and the importance of what you do. And he was like, sure, set it up. He was like, come on, set it up, let's play. You know what I mean? So let it ride, So
Also, that'll be my new favorite saying whenever we do something wild. I will be yelling out "Let it ride" for the fuck of it. It's pretty much my version of "Do it for the plot," but better. Because fuck,
This is
"Do it for the plot" is so stupid.
Do it for the plot. Yes, do it for the plot. But
No, don't use that. Dear God.
All right,
God, please no.
well, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, boys and girls, here is our interview with Garfield Hylton. Hope you enjoy.
Let's let it ride, let it play.
Perfect.
All right. Welcome back to the Excuse Me Brother podcast. I'm your host, Brother Jay. I got my co-host with me tonight.
Yo, we didn't get an answer. So what's up, Brother Ted?
I know, right? What's going on? It's been a long time, man. It's been a long time. But tonight is a special episode because we got a special guest. I think he's our first guest of 2026, right? Yes, our first guest in August of 2026. We have a journalist by the name of Garfield Hylton. Okay, he's a journalist at the website known as Anscape. Brother G, welcome to the show, man. It's good to have you.
I appreciate you having me, man.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, man. Where you're from, how long you've been doing the journalist game, and just tell us a little bit about who you are and what makes Garfield Garfield.
I'll try to do my best. So I'm from South Florida. Um, that would be the quickest way to explain that. Went to, South Florida is a big place, and I've lived all across the bottom part of Florida. So South Florida is just kind of like we can just wrap all of that up in that one name. But nah, did undergrad at Florida State. Went to law school in North Carolina. Got a law degree from North Carolina Central. Shout out to the Legal Eagles. Got a master's degree in journalism from University of South Florida. I have been doing journalism, got to be at least 15 years now. Started out,
Nice.
yeah, started out. Oof, if I want to say when I started writing on like MySpace blogs. MySpace blogs, and then Facebook had Facebook notes. And then I had my own blogspot website, had a WordPress website, freelanced while I was in school, while I was out of school, got journalism jobs. It's probably been at least 15 years as like a journalist, quote unquote, and probably like 20 plus years as being a writer online.
So when I'm sorry, take go ahead.
No, but it's like journalism. You consider it to be like your favorite topic.
I couldn't hear the question.
Oh, I was gonna say, like for journalism purposes, what do you consider to be like your expertise and topic? Or do you like a general news type person? Do you do sports reporting? Any sort of topic that you like reporting the most on?
Yeah, black people. That was pretty much is pretty much where I did most of my journalism in the earlier parts of my career. I was a music journalist. And I've always wrote about black issues, black people. Us was always the center of all of the work that I did, or I always tried to make it the center of all of the work that I did. So black people, race relations in America, um, are these white people out here tripping? That's usually the
I
big
was
part of
saying the
kind of.
same thing. I say the same thing, and I get in trouble for it.
Yeah, no, that's
Mm,
always because I've always been the reason why I went to law school is because I wanted to be an attorney, and I wanted to be an attorney because I felt like black people needed better representation in the legal field, and I felt like we also need a really good defense from the criminal prosecution system and America in general. And I got somewhere in the middle of that process, and I thought writing would be actually the best way to fight off white supremacy. And I found out that neither one of those things were true, but also needed a job. So I made writing about black people my job. And I pretty much try to keep that at the center of everything I do. I've dabbled and done a bunch of different other things, but if you're asking me for a specific thing, if I could write about one thing for the rest of my life, I would write about black people.
Now,
Gotcha.
is it more specifically about if we could try to even narrow it down a little further when it comes to black people? Are we talking black issues as opposed like as it comes to, like you said, race relations with white people, black history, black futurism, or black identity? If you could pinpoint it into one specific area regarding black people, is there one?
Yeah, in the earlier parts of my career, I would say it was about black people living in America and sort of trying to detail what that actually feels like and trying to take it from just anecdotal experiences of police brutality or being stopped by the police or, things that you experience on a day to day being a black man or a black woman or a black child and trying to sort of like do a macro look. Like it's not just at the time what I used to think was like people think of racism and they're just like, it's racism. And racism didn't have a specific thing. There wasn't a way to sort of like catalog for regular people who were reading about this. Like, what does it mean when something racist happens? What does it mean when you go to the pool and all the white people get out of the pool? What does it mean when you go to put in an application at an apartment complex and nobody responds to your application? What does it mean when you apply for a job and you have to change your name, or you have to change where you work at, or you have to change what organizations that you are a part of so that you can get past a threshold, because you know that everywhere you turn, somebody is, well, usually they don't look like you, but sometimes they do look like you. They don't want you to succeed. So that was
Perfect.
kind of what my focus was. I wanted to try to find a way to explain that, to give people. I thought that I had a really good skill set at making complex things simple. And I thought that racism was like a really big thing that I would try to make simple. At the time, I thought what I would be able to do was I'd be able to change minds by detailing these things in this very, very simple, sort of interconnected way. So I'm not good. I have an anecdotal experience of thing I lived through, but I could tie that to what larger studies say, what larger social programs say. That's kind of what I was trying to do. And then the internet got incredibly stupid, and it kind of felt like I was running into a void.
You know, I You know, as you listen, as you're saying these things, I'm thinking back to a few episodes that we've done in the past, like especially with the Tay. I don't know if you remember, we did the episode on how black men and promotions go, or black men in school and education, and then how much I hate social media with a passion. So a lot of the things that you're saying is just bringing back all these old episodes that we did. It was just like it's funny that it was good to see that I don't feel alone when I say these things. You know what I mean? Like,
It's a lot of goes in my gear segments that involve things that we read. Also, me telling them, and that's just the brother Jay, and to our producer to stop arguing with people in the comment section.
oh
It don't
yeah,
get you nothing. Like, and I see it in their eyes. They're like, "Oh, if I could just tell them, they would understand." I'm like, "No, you're talking to a wall. Please, you have a
It's
better chance
it
of getting the baby to understand this argument. Don't do it."
huh,
it's it's actually super interesting because I don't think it was always like that. I but I can't tell you when it changed. I don't know how old y'all are. I'm 40. I was in law school when Trayvon Martin got killed.
sure,
And it felt like right around I felt, if I remember it correctly, that was kind of a really big turning point, like with social media and kind of what activism looked like online. A lot of that came around the same time, Trayvon Martin had gotten killed. And so there were a lot of people that were online that were talking about kind of what was going on, and galvanizing people to causes. Money was being raised, battles were being fought. And
sure,
somewhere in there, it just felt like, I don't know if it's because everybody was yelling at the same time and then everybody stopped listening. I don't know if just the way that social media has changed, where it used to feel like a public town hall where people come and you congregate online about like-minded activities and like-minded topics, to we're all creating content, which is, I don't know, forgive me in advance, which is the bane of my fucking existence. Uh, the idea the idea of content, because I feel like when people started calling things content, it robbed the value of what things actually meant. So you're not a blog writer, you're a content writer,
Okay.
except
yeah,
Yep.
I write personal blogs. I write blogs about my life. This is a content. This is my actual life that I'm putting on paper. If I'm writing about whatever I'm writing about, if we're making videos about something, if we're making whatever we're making, we just content just kind of became a catch-all phrase. And the internet and social media did a really good job of sort of flattening everything out. And so
mhm,
we just ended up with a dumber populace in general, because nobody knows how to read. And people that can read, they can't comprehend. And people that may be able to read and comprehend don't have any critical thinking skills. And brother, I can do this all day.
we got all
Like,
day. Trust me, we got all
it
day.
really it really ends up being a situation where, like, I don't think it always was like this, but it turned, and we are downhill. Fast.
It
And I don't know
definitely,
if we've hit.
I think it definitely hit more of a vision point in like 2016. And this is like this is like after the Obama effect and everything, like the no kick it. There's nothing against that, but like it felt like since that's where social media elevated to like, oh, let's not get the truth out. Who can get the fastest story out? It felt from that point of saga, it's like, well, I don't gotta be honest now. I'm just gonna say whatever I want, as long as someone
Yeah.
sees it
So,
first.
yeah. So the thing about journalism is journalism was a big part of journalism is about speed and accuracy and being kind of the first. I
Right.
think the accuracy part is what got lost in the speed part. And so people just rush to get there first, but and then they come back and they're like, oh, well, we did the fact checking afterward. And it's like you're supposed to do the
Let's
fact
do it.
checking first. The
Yeah.
first thing that you do is the fact part. The speed and accuracy is based on the fact part. Because once you put something out, you presumably you're not supposed to be able to take it back. But because these things are because we changed, and I'm sure we're going to get into this later, kind of like how what my take is on how journalism has changed. Because we got so social media was so fast, it was so quick. There's so much incentive to get out there and to be first and to receive kind of what the incentive is to be first. Except sometimes you need to be third because you got the full story when you're third, but when you were first, you're trying to write the story as it's happening. It's not a good look, man. Not a good look.
It's
No,
not. It's not. And I want to go back to what you said something about earlier about when that shift happened around Trayvon Martin. I was in Trayvon Martin died in what 2012, right?
Mhm. Like
So I,
2011. It's 2011, 2012 ish.
so I was
I'm
in my
telling.
freshman year of college. I was a freshman in college, and I want to say something even that happened before Trayvon Martin, or I can't remember if it happened before or after. It remember the whole Coney 2012 situation, or whatever, about that African dictator that was
Oh, yeah.
supposedly. It was around that time when social media started to branch from, oh, we're just connecting with friends, and now it's more of a activist platform because now people were starting to realize, oh, news travels faster on social media sometimes than it appears to travel throughout the networks and throughout these actual publications whose job it is to inform us. What do you think about social media being used as a news platform as opposed to what it was originally for, to connect with friends and family and things of that nature? Now it's taking off another life on your own. Like you mentioned, now we done went from this to now everything is just about content creation and putting out content and influencers and all this other crap that I personally can't stand. But this is what it is now. This is our new reality. What do you say about that?
Oh, rephrase that question one more time. I want to make sure I speak directly to the question that you're asking.
So social media has gone from, it's evolved or devolved, how depending on how you interpret. I think it's devolved because the original point was for us to connect with our friends and family, especially those that we haven't seen in ages, or those who live far away, people we don't went to school with, family on the other side of the country, this, that, and the third. Now it's basically become news platforms: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all these other these platforms become news platforms. Do you think, and now a different question just popped into my head. Number one, how do you feel about that? And two, do you think it takes away from journalistic integrity?
Okay. So the funny thing about Twitter is that Twitter, when it first started, it was actually called a micro blogging service.
Mm,
So it
okay.
wasn't even it. They called it social media, but what it really was there were a whole bunch of people online had a network for blogging, long form content, short form, whatever it is that you wanted to call it. Twitter makes a service, 140 characters. You can come here and get your blogging on, and you can get immediate feedback. You can find like minded people. and that kind of thing. So Twitter didn't even start out as social media in terms of how we're defining it now. It started off as a micro blogging service at 140 characters at a time. I remember when
Right.
they actually went to 280 characters, and that was a huge deal. And now I don't even know what's on Twitter anymore. I know that you can type as much as you want, and that's not a thing. As far as social media as a news service, uh, it's complicated. I think that's the safest answer that I can give you. It does give people an opportunity to get news out in a way that was not even possible before. It's especially not possible now, given the cuts to newsrooms, both print and digital journalism. Just these conglomerates, these hedge funds, they're swallowing up all of these different publications, and it's very hard to be a person who works in the news right now. So staffs are limited, resources are limited, reporters are limited. So you look at something like social media, you look at something like Threads, you look at something like Twitter or Facebook, whatever the case, and you think to yourself, this could actually be a great platform to get stories and to monitor stories and to publish stories that would not otherwise be heard.
Apple.
Except you actually need a somebody somewhere with some form of expertise to figure out how you're going to publish that news to the general public. And so I don't know if at this point, I think it's safe. I think we can firmly and affirmatively say that the platforms, as far as news is concerned, are probably not very good. It could have been good if somebody somewhere had decided this is what we're actually going to use this for, and we're going to put things in place so that we can actually use these platforms in that particular manner. Anybody can get on the internet and share news. Everybody doesn't have the skill set to be a reporter. Everybody doesn't have the skill set to be a journalist. There are rules that go with journalism. There are ethics that go with journalism. Anybody can get on the internet and write a story. The thing is, if there are no guidelines, if nobody's paying attention to the guidelines, if nobody's going to use the guidelines to figure out how you disseminate news, that's kind of how we ended up in the situation that we ended up now. I saw a woman who, this is like a couple of days ago, she put a report out saying something to the effect that somebody was helping Iran, or Iran was helping somebody in a way that the United States was not. That was her first post. The second post was, I don't have a confirmed report of this thing. I saw other people talking about this thing. Even though there are no confirmed reports, I feel comfortable saying that I reported the news. And it's like, you're not supposed to do that. You can't do that. You individual person was holding themselves out to be an arbiter of information. You can't be the person that puts out fake news, because the entirety of our trust that is in you, not our trust, I mean just general, if you're going to trust a journalist, is that you're giving accurate information that you actually had either firsthand knowledge about, or that you have or somebody else has firsthand knowledge and they're a trusted source. You have nothing. And you put that out, but you still want to hold yourself out as a news person. People get in trouble for that shit in our industry. But if you are, I don't even call it independent journalism. If you're just a person who's on internet and you decide that you want to be a news person sharing news source on social media, then you could do that. But I don't know how that's supposed to be like a net positive for anybody.
No, I feel you on that, because one of my biggest, I guess, gripes about, social media journalism is that we kind of can't fact check you as a person, as another user. Like if I like if the woman that you sell, like if I saw the woman that you saw, right, and I put that information out, I can't hit her up and say, "Oh, where did you get that information from?" You know what I mean? And of course, I know that part of the journalistic integrity is not to reveal sources. But at the same time, it's like, well, how do we know who you got your information from? You're just putting it out there. What are your credentials as a journalist or a reporter? So that way I know that what you're saying is factual. And I think that's part of the biggest gripe that I have with social media journalism, because now we went from not being able to trust certain news sources, like, whether it's left wing, right wing, moderate, whoever, you know what I mean? To now we can't even trust what we follow on what we see on social media, because this person pretends to be something that they're not. They're using just an opinion, in the First Amendment to say, oh, well, yeah, I believe this, and this is not factual though.
Yeah. I mean, you shouldn't believe anything you read on social media. That actually that should actually be the baseline. Don't believe nothing you read on there, because you don't know why it's there in the first place, and what we know about who owns these companies, how the algorithm works, how the algorithm incentivizes rage baiting and anger inducing behavior, because it sees that there's a relationship between that kind of content and the engagement, because it catches all of us. Like, you
Mm.
scrolling down, reading something, somebody said something stupid, and you're in a 27-minute argument across multiple platforms. And you like, I don't even know how I got here, bro. I don't even care about this thing.
I
But
just
The
opened the
CIA,
app.
the
you get
CIA
you get
winning, the
get
CIA
nah,
winning all the
nah,
time.
nah, man. They up 30-0 in the first quarter, bro. They killing. They killing right now.
Big
No,
time.
there's not 30-0. This is the Knicks. This is the Knicks beating the Hawks in that last game.
Mm.
For you thought it was close. It was a good game. Then you turn around, the other team got 50. You still at 19. You're like, what did I do? What happened?
So tell me, who are some of your journalistic influences, if you have any?
I'm terrible with names, so I apologize in advance for anybody whose name that I'm gonna forget, because I actually don't read people's names when I'm reading things. I just read things. But
Mhm.
I'm a big fan of Nicole Hannah Jones.
Okay.
She does well, she used to do investigative journalism. I'm not sure what she's up to currently, but she used to do a lot of really good investigative journalism. That was centered on Black people, and she used to write some incredible stories. Big fan of Ta-Nehisi Coates. Um,
Love her. I love
I don't
her.
know if who, Nicole Hannah Jones,
No, the second one you said.
Ta-Nehisi Coates. Yeah, nah,
Mhm.
he's probably like one of my favorite writers of all time.
He's a good one.
He just writes, and he wrote The Case for Reparations in the Atlantic, and that shit probably changed my life. I don't even if I didn't care about reparations in the sense, just the way that he was able to lay the cake, just the way he was able to lay everything out, the way he was able to structure everything, the way he was able to make his arguments. I'm a writer. I'm a stickler for words. I'm always trying to improve my craft, and it's like, I can read this and just be like, I'm not this good. And I don't know if I'll ever be this good, but this is a good place to like look and try to be like, I want to see if I can try to do something like this. But it's so many. Those are like the first two names, but there's so many people whose work I enjoy, man. Like Joel Anderson, he used to work at Slate. He works at
No.
the Ringer now. He writes really incredible stuff. My friend Van Newkirk, he writes incredible stuff. Like, I don't even want to get into names because it's so many people, and like I don't remember names very well. And like there's a whole lot of women that I read whose names that like I can't think off the top of my head either, and I don't want to leave them out. So we just gonna stay there. I got a lot of influences, and people, and they're all of them are Black, because I really care about Black people. So I center it there.
Now we definitely feel you on that one. If you won't tell you have any questions?
Two things actually, because I don't vote. I actually don't know, brother Jay knew this, but when I graduated from my college, which I went to Lehman College, my degree is in journalism, but for
Hmm.
like communication for radio stations.
Yeah, I
So
knew
I got
that.
a chance to
I knew
meet. I
that.
got a chance to do a lot of it. One thing is because now that I'm on the thing, uh, did you get a chance to hear about oh, I can't remember what the thing stands for, but the Journalism Society gave Stephen A. Smith a thumbs down
Yeah, the National Association of Black Journalists. They just did their they do like an annual convention every weekend, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I saw that what they said about Stephen A. Smith,
Wait, yeah.
and
Dude, what do they say about him?
So, like I said, it's the National Black Youth Journalism Convention. So they gave
Uh-huh.
5 people 5 thumbs down awards for their coverage of Black people.
Uh-huh.
One was CBS, I believe. CBS as a whole, and then the CEO Stephen A.
Mm.
Smith got a thumbs down for his coverage of Black women and how he keeps making disparaging remarks about them for this past couple of months. I
Mhm.
can't remember the other two. I know one was like it made sense. I can't remember the other two. If you can't help me out, brother G.
no, I wasn't at the convention. I had friends that were there, and the thing came up, and they showed me the picture how they were in the convention hall, and they took a picture of the Stephen A. Smith PowerPoint thing, and they put it in the chat, and I was like, yeah, he's not gonna like that.
Nope.
He's not gonna like that at all. I got my own. I don't have personal issues with Stephen A. Smith, but I wrote something about Stephen A. Smith maybe like 11 years ago, talking
Mhm.
about how he talks about Black people in the media and how he talks about racism and how he don't seem to get it. And he had given a talk at an HBCU. He gave one of those pull yourself up by the bootstraps and the white man's not
Yeah.
holding you back speeches. And
Mm.
this is like 2000, this might have been like 2014, 2015. And I wrote one of the longest pieces that I'd ever written. Like, this this guy is insane.
I
That's
wanna
like
I wanna
the
read that.
kindest way
I
that I
I
could put that.
I want to read it when you get a chance because I'm not exactly I wouldn't say a fan of Stephen A, but I am definitely appreciative of his story. You know, where he comes from and challenges that he's overcome to become the face of sports media. Like as a black man, that's not something that comes by every day. But at the same time, there's been times where I'm just like, bro, you don't seem to be I don't know. Like, where's your head in this type of situation? You know what I mean? Like, it ain't just us. It ain't us that's kind of like, bro, like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be representing, and it doesn't
Hey, but
seem like you are, you
eh,
know?
So I, I think we're allowed to be honest. I think you're allowed to tell. I think we are able to hold two truths at the same time. We
Mhm.
can appreciate who Stephen A. Smith. We can appreciate what Stephen A. Smith has done in his career with respect to like the actual journalistic parts of his career. We can appreciate that he was able to use his whatever his God-given abilities are to become what he's become. This in term, not necessarily in terms of the content, but in terms of his stature at ESPN. I think you can have I think you can have an affection for that while also discussing how did you get there in the first place.
Mhm.
And it is the way that you carry these things now. Is that how you got there? Because you you get online or you get on ESPN or wherever it is, the many places that Stephen A. Smith stage shows up, and you have
Mhm.
these conversations, and these conversations do not sound like conversations that you would want to hear from somebody that you think is a champion of whatever. I don't tend to look at Stephen A. Smith with those kinds of eyes. I look at Stephen A. Smith as somebody who worked at ESPN, an impressive journalism career, and got on TV and decided that however he needed to make his money is however he was going to make his money. Sometimes he's right. A lot of times I don't think that he's right. And when I hear Stephen A. Smith talk about something that isn't sports related, I usually turn my ears off because I know that he doesn't have anything to offer me.
Uh,
He don't have much to offer me by the way of sports takes, but that is his job. And I do commend him because people think his job is easy. Like, oh, anybody can do first take. No, anybody
no,
cannot do
no,
no,
first take. They
no.
Stephen A. Smith does have a skill set. The man is talented. How he chooses to use that talent is not a thing that I
It's-
find very
commendable.
I don't find that very commendable at all.
Well, I could understand that. And like you said, we can always hold two different opinions about it. You can appreciate the work that he's done You can appreciate what he's done for Black people at ESPN while also holding him accountable for some of the BS that he does. We do it with everybody, or you should be able to do it with everybody. You know, because I remember there's a lot of people in the journalistic space or even at ESPN that people are just like, yo, we should hold you accountable for the things that you say. We hold athletes accountable. We hold the regular common man accountable. Why can't we hold you accountable? Which is fine. I agree with that 100%. You
You can
know,
always you can always hold two truths at once. It's
yeah,
all
we
sorts of
get
you're separating the journey from what he currently is. You can always appreciate young little old things. That's nostalgia
right.
purposes.
Absolutely,
Like
1000%.
I can appreciate Nickelodeon's cartoons. Doesn't mean I have to like what they did to get there.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Oh,
I just because I know that sometimes people feel like you can't knock the hustle, and I feel like you can. You can knock the hustle. It's completely okay if the hustle is trash. You can knock it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, Tyler Perry made $1 billion and he be hiring black people, and y'all ain't gotta like his movies, but you can't knock the hustle. Yes, I can. His movies are terrible. I can say that the movies are terrible, bro. Like him being an inspirational figure and whatever figure he might hold for somebody. That's not my business. But you
Mhm.
you can't tell me that I'm not allowed to say that his movies suck because he made a lot of money or he has a lot of money or he employs black people. So sometimes black people suck at things, and it's okay for us to say
it's
that.
okay, right? It's okay to suck at something.
Just
It's
because
not
someone
your it's
buys
not your
money
lane,
for it, just because someone pays money for it, don't make it good. We can say
right?
that for music all the time.
I think we could say that more for music than we can for film. But if you know,
Say it for anything. Just say it for anything as an end result. It's your opinion. You should, your opinion should not be able to. You should be able to tell the opinion about something because it's your thought. Again, the issue
so
now, or back to the other issue of social media, is just like anytime you say an opinion, people want to take it as a general fact about you. That's just not how it works.
I
I,
mean, sometimes it
so
is, but
Yeah, sometimes those are dumb.
sometimes it is. Sometimes they do say something about you for sure.
So sweet.
so where do you draw the line as a journalist? Like, are there
Well,
certain topics that you won't touch, or that you feel like, okay, this is not something I feel confident to report on, as opposed to maybe this is better suited for somebody else? Because I read one of your articles, the one that you sent me, and I felt like it was important. It was definitely an important article. Like it needs to be said. It needed to be talked about. But
You want
where
to
do
tell people what the
you
article is?
Oh yes, it was about sexual assault against black boys, right? A very
Mhm.
serious and underreported topic, right? We don't talk about it enough. Um, and I think one of the parts of the article said that we already don't know how to navigate this conversation in any way, shape, or form, or any way. But when it comes to black boys and black men, even where it becomes even more of a clusterfuck, because it's like, okay, the ideas about sex with men, especially black men, were already perceived a certain way. It was a real deep article. I was sitting there, I was just reading, I was just like, holy shit, this is profound. And I think Brother Taylor actually get a joy out of reading it too, because I feel like we almost touched on the subject in a previous episode, like one of the very early episodes about,
we
uh,
touched
uh
on. I was trying to think because we touched on many episodes involving some things. I think we did earlier. Another one I know, for example, I did a solo episode. I don't know if I deleted this one because the camera something happened, but I recorded a solo episode about how men, especially just men and black men, can't really go saying no and having preferences for women. This is like early when we started
uh-huh.
doing this, and just like anytime someone's in the preference or speaks of history and the reason how your preference got there is still used against you in any sort of way.
Excuse me,
I th-
brother. Would you care to elaborate on that part? When you say
Yeah,
I want to make sure I understand what you're saying. When you're talking about preferences,
I
you're
was
talking
talking more
about
of like, yeah, I was talking more like you as a man, especially as a black man. Like if someone comes up to you, like if you're attracted to women and a woman comes up to you and like tells you that she likes you and is like wants to go out with you, and you're like no. And the reason for it is not anything to do with her race. It's just more of like she like the type of conversations we had, her personality, and just her is not something I want to be invested into. Like I don't want to date this person. And then anytime you would say no to something like that, the automatic response is like, "Oh, there's something wrong with you." They're quick to question your sexuality and all these those things. Like those are the type of things that I was like one of the first solo episodes I think we tried to tackle. I know I tried to do it on a solo episode before. I don't know if it ever got released or I deleted because something happened. Lord knows what happens. I don't look at our episodes. You know this because
I think it
I
was the
think.
episode. I think it was one of the episodes we did about like abuse towards men in
Oh, there's also
particular.
that too.
Yeah, so it was
Because
like one
Brother
of our
G,
very early episodes.
because Brother G looked at me. Brother G, I tell Brother J this all the time. Whenever we do stuff, I don't watch our episodes because whatever I said, I said. I'm not doing this. It's like whatever I said it then. If it needs to be corrected on factual, I'll go back to it. If it's something opinionated, they won't have to deal with it. I said what I said when I knew what I knew.
So the question was, where do you draw the line as a journalist? Like, are there certain topics you won't touch, or you feel an obligation to report on whatever it is needs to be reported on?
I mean, if I don't think I have the skill set to properly tackle something, I won't touch it. So there are a lot of things that I don't have. Maybe I might have the skill set to report it, but I might not have the necessary prerequisite knowledge to write about it in a way that actually presents itself as somebody who knows what they're actually talking about. And there are thousands of those things that I have very little to no idea about. And if that happens to come across my desk, I will happily pass that to somebody else. This is not for me. This ain't got nothing to do with me. I don't even know where to even start on this. So plenty of things. I try my best to write what I know or write what I think I can reasonably learn in the time period that it would take for me to be able to do the thing. But there are some topics I, as soon as they come across my desk, this ain't even for me. I can't do this, and that's fine. I would think I actually that sort of discernment probably keeps me out of a lot of trouble because people get into trouble. I can tackle topics that they are not well versed on. And
Uh,
so if actually you could have just passed this shit to somebody else.
How'd I get
oh,
here?
yeah, like how this get, um are you part of any organizations where, Black journalists come together and try to share ideas and information about, what's going on with the state of things?
Not any official organizations, and that's mostly because I'm antisocial and I like to stay in my house. And that what you just asked actually requires me leaving my house to go talk to people outside. And that's not a thing that I'm ever actually trying to do for most of my life. Uh, but I do have pockets of friends where we talk, pockets of friends with other journalists where we talk about different things and we have those kinds of conversations. But not like I didn't even know that NABJ was the convention was this weekend because it was in Atlanta and I probably would have actually tried to go. But I'm very insular and I actually try to not be as and as I'm getting older, I tried to be a little bit more social, but in my late 20s and 30s, I wasn't fucking with nobody. I was kind of how I carried it.
The bed was here. Why would I go out there? I understand. I get it.
No, I get it too. I mean, I'm not antisocial, but at the same time, it's just like talking to people can be exhausting. It can be very exhausting. So that begs me to ask, how do you cultivate sources and other, people and connections that can give you the information? Like, say, like you're trying to get some information on, let's say, what's happening in your neighborhood right now, right? Let's
Mm.
just start very small. How do you go about navigating, talking to people, cultivating resources that way you can form a well-rounded piece of work?
I'm actually glad that you asked that because I was wondering when we were going to get to kind of the different facets of journalism. So
Mhm.
right now, I don't do any reporting. I am a digital journalist, so a lot of what I do is basically just a lot of straight hard news stuff. We take stuff that I work in like an actual, well, a digital newsroom now. Because the Anscape thing was what I was doing when I was freelancing. And that was like another thing. Because I've done a ton of freelance and I've done a ton of actual like working in an actual newsroom thing. And so because I'm not a reporter, developing sources and that kind of thing, that's not really like my bag currently. What I used to do before was you talk to the people in your newsroom. Do you know anybody that is in this neighborhood that I can talk to? And as you do more stories and as you do more stories and as you publish more work, you cultivate that kind of relationship with different people. So with Anscape, it would be something to the effect of, okay, I'm going to write this story about. I did a piece about Asia Wilson's A1 sneaker,
I
like right
saw
before
that
it
one.
came out.
Yeah, I saw that one.
So I talked to my editor. My editor is like, these are a list of people that I think might be that might make for some good people to talk to. But also, it was up to me. Who do I think? Who do I know in this particular? And I talked to a lot of people who were WNBA fans, WNBA employees, did WNBA stuff on the side, or were sneakerheads and did fashion content, or people who were just really big fans of Asia Wilson. And like I got to do the reach out. Hey, I'm doing a story. Is somebody you want to talk to? Or am I somebody that you'd like to talk to about this particular thing? We jump on the horn. And I want to be clear, that shit is nerve-wracking every time. Talking to strangers is nerve-wracking every time. Because the way that I think about it is I'm coming to you and I'm asking you for a favor. And the favor that I'm actually asking you is for you to talk to me so I can actually finish my story. And so that always makes me feel like I need to be as kind and as reasonable and as straightforward as possible. And I need to at least give people an opportunity to tell me no, but nobody actually wants to hear no. So that's kind of how it ends up working for me, is that I actually have to reach out and talk to these people. I have to go and find who I think would make good for a story, or who I think would make a good source, a good commentary, a good, anything for a story. And then, sometimes my editor would help out. I got to talk to Monica McNutt about that Asia Wilson story. And I didn't know her, but one of my homeboys knew her. And the editor was like, you should try to reach out to her. And I was like, let me ask my homeboy if he would be able to ask her if she'd be willing to talk to me. And that's how we ended up doing it. And I FaceTime Monica. Monica was eating shrimp, eating shrimp poolside or something. I was like, yo, like if you busy. She was like, nah, I'm good. She's like, nah, I knew you was calling. I'm good. I was like,
Yo,
all right, there's cool there.
she's
I
something
love Monica.
else.
She's super cool, man. So you just end up doing stuff like that where, somebody might give you an idea of who to go talk to, or you kind of feel like I think this person would be good to talk to, and you just make the cold pitch and you hope it goes well.
That's dope. Is there? Oh, go ahead, Sam. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna ask Boogie something because in newsrooms, like that's what you feel you're most comfortable doing during this.
Your audio's messed up a little.
Yeah, it's my computer. Apologies. It's been freezing from time to time. Sometimes it freezes and like Jay's eyes in the roller back. That's really funny. For
Oh,
you, other
me.
than newsrooms, is there like any other like sort of journalism that you feel comfortable doing your work in? Because I know like antisocial, so interviews have to be has not to be great for you. What other ones are like your favorite type of journalism or reporting?
Oh, actually, the interviews thing, it's always the same process. I have to do an interview with somebody, and like 20 minutes before the thing, I'm like hyperventilating. Like, oh my God, I got these questions. I don't know if I got enough questions. I don't know if they're gonna be able to give me the answer. What am I gonna do if I ask a question, it's like the wrong question, and I get the wrong answer? It's always almost like you ever see Remember the Titans?
Yes.
Remember when Denzel was throwing up behind the bleachers before the first game? That's how every interview feels like, man. It's like, all right, I'm starting to sweat. It's hot in here, man. My girl will be like, hey, man, it's okay. And I'm like, it don't feel okay. Doesn't feel it doesn't feel like it's gonna be okay. It always turns out okay though. So it's like I don't enjoy talking to strangers, but that has more to do with me than it has to do with other people. But it never goes wrong. Like I'm talking to y'all right now, and it's cool, and that's normally how it goes. But beforehand, it's like, yeah, man, I don't know how this gonna go, man. It's gonna be the one time that it don't go well. So and that's what it always feels like. It always feels like this is gonna be the one time that it don't go well.
Okay, that's fair. Um, as far as other skills that are required to make a good, what are the top 5 skills do you think that a journalist needs to be a good journalist?
I think you need a commitment to telling the truth.
Okay.
You need a commitment to the community to represent them to the best of your ability.
Mhm.
I think you need discernment. You need to know who to listen to, who not to listen to, what kind of story to write, what story that you shouldn't write, what story you might need some help with. And being able to sort of discern between who you need to ask and whether you need to actually do the thing.
Okay.
Um, I'd say a commitment to truth, a commitment to telling the right story. I think I said a commitment to
Discernment.
nuance. Yeah,
Oh,
discernment.
nuance.
You need to have a skill set too. I think you need to be able to write, or you need to be able to accept help with writing. Even at any point, I've worked in TV newsrooms, um, where we do like actual on television news. I worked in 3 of those. I've done digital journalism for at this point for at least half my life. Writing is the skill that never that shit transcends everything. If you can't
Mm.
write, I don't think you can do this thing. Or you can't do this thing in this particular way because you can work in media and not be a journalist. You could be a journalist who doesn't write. You could be a photojournalist, you can be an audio journalist, but at some point you're gonna have to be able to write something. And that's a skill set that being a good writer is always going to be able to take you somewhere.
Mhm.
Nice.
Is journalism or being a journalist an umbrella term, or is it a specific type of skill set or specific type of role that someone plays in media?
Um, Kind of both. Like you can be a journalist. That is a specific role. As when I go to work, I am a journalist. It can also be an umbrella. Journalism can be an umbrella term. Because you can be a journalist working in media, but you could be a person who works in media who isn't a journalist. Because media means anything.
Everything, right?
Social media is media. TikTok content creation is media. Like all of the podcasts are media. All you could work in media and never do anything in journalism. So I would
And,
say that being a journalist is a specific type of role. But working in journalism, that could be anything.
and what do you think is the most effective form of journalism? Like, do you think pen to paper, or like, typing out, putting out a report and publishing and saying these are the facts of the situation, versus going out and standing in front of a camera and saying, this is what I found during my like investigation, or during my findings, or sources say this and sources say that.
So what's your favorite? What's your favorite type in that point? Like for you personally?
My personally, I'm a pen to paper person. I like words. I like what words can do. I like what words can convey when I read them and how they can make me feel. And I feel like I communicate best when I'm writing. Um, Writing, period. A story, a text, an email, whatever the case. I feel like that's probably one of my superpowers if I had to say that I had one. Is that I'm an extremely capable writer. And so that's what I look for when I look for other media. I'm the person who doesn't want to watch, excuse me, I'm the person who doesn't want to watch the video because I'd rather just read the story. I try to listen to audiobooks. That's not my thing. The words gotta be like right here in front of my face. So pen and paper be my favorite thing. As far as what's most effective, I don't know that I don't know that there's any one thing that I would consider the most effective. The most effective is whichever one gets the person to pay attention. So if that's the person who reads, that's cool. If it's the person who listens, that's cool. If it's the person who watches, that's cool. But I think in 2026, I think because of the way that all of this is set up now, you there's no one best way to do anything anymore. When you think about journalism before the advent of cell phones and cell phones that could actually like surf the internet that you could read, like we all had a centralized location that we all got the same information from. We read a newspaper or we watched 6 o'clock news, the 5 o'clock news, the 11 o'clock news, but there was only 3 news channels. You had channel 7, channel 11, and channel like 27 or something. And then, you had Mado Gigante, which was like the Spanish language channel where they had all that kind of stuff going on. You know what I mean? Like, so we as a populace, we were all concentrated on the same thing. It worked the same way for television, worked the same way for music. Like we all had a place to go to do the thing. In 2026, I have there are so many different options on how to receive information, and there are so many different people who are giving information that honestly, I don't think they can't possibly be a best way because there are so many different ways to do the thing.
So many different ways to do the thing. I got a couple more
Chill.
questions. Say, you have anything?
You go keep firing.
Okay,
I
because
believe in you. Don't doubt yourself.
where do you see journalism going in the future? Whether it be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, do you think that we'll consume information differently than we already have, or do you think we've reached a plateau?
Journalism going to hell in a handbasket.
Oh man,
That's where that's going, brother. That's where that's going. And it's not. There are 100 million different reasons as to why that's a thing. If you think about the way that newspapers have all been bought out by corporate entities, if you think about the amount of journalists who have lost their jobs over the last 10 to 15 years, if you think about the fact that people don't read very well anymore, think about people, just the talent drain. The newsrooms are working with the least amount of people that they have ever worked with, but still need to keep the same output of stories and information that's being out there that isn't being actively suppressed by some political ideology from somebody else that works either in your news department or owns the company that you work for. And I still work in a heavily print business, and we have conversations all the time about how print is hanging on by a thread, and a lot of the stuff is moving online, except the way that they used to count ad revenue online is different. The algorithm changed, the SEO changed, the way that they used to pay out is different. It's just it's it's I don't even know how this is sustainable. I thank the Lord every day that I still have a job because I honestly don't know how this is. We are so very close to having like state-run media. And for anybody that's listening that doesn't know what that means, you can basically just stick like Russia. I know. Like the government controls what you see on the news, and there is no room for you to disagree with the propaganda, more or less, that you would be watching or you would be consuming. And honestly, we're not that far from there now. If you look at TikTok, if you look at Threads, if you look at Twitter or any social, you look, Facebook is like, they be getting people on WhatsApp with the fake news, bro. It's crazy. I didn't even know that people read on WhatsApp. I didn't know that anybody did anything other than text people on WhatsApp. WhatsApp and disinformation are like a one-to-one connection.
Really?
So,
yeah, it is.
yeah,
actually.
it'd be some real craziness overall.
Oh,
And it's like
wow.
I don't even know how this even works. That's what I'm saying. So like, I don't know. I don't know how journalism survives. I don't. It's still holding on because there is still a need for it, and there's still people outside doing incredible work. But 5 years from now, what are we in 2020, 2031?
Mhm.
Do we have a journalism industry in 2031?
I
I
think
don't know.
So, do you think that the First Amendment as a whole, or just that part of it, is severely threatened?
I want to be super clear that when I espouse these views that sound very Debbie Downerish, these are my personal opinions. So anybody that's listening, I'm not speaking factually on what I think the state of journalism is. This is just my anecdotal opinion on the things that I'm experiencing and the way that I'm experiencing it. I know you can't divorce the freedom of the press from the First Amendment. So anything that happens to the First Amendment is also going to happen to freedom of the press. And people, I think Donald Trump did a really good job of making sure that we stopped trusting institutions.
Mm.
And
Oh,
institutions
that's a bar right there. That's a bar.
institutions fucking up have also not done a really good job of keeping the populace as faith, which is how you end up with so many people thinking that they can do the news outside of a newsroom, is because nobody trusts anything that's actually being told from I guess what you call these ivory towers, right? They are more inclined to believe an individual who says that they do news than a entity that actually does news. And that's not like a widespread thing, but it do be trending in that direction. Like we still newsrooms and newspapers and TV news, like they still have a hold and for especially for the older demographic. We knock shit out over there. For the younger demographic, it's like they grew up with different ways and methods of getting the news. Oh, newspapers don't look the same to them. They look antiquated to them. I would rather go get my news from this person. I'm subscribed to this person's newsletter, and this person they use their newsletter to share news. But I'm going to get my information from them. There's a podcast that I like listening to, and they do news over there, so I'm going to go over there to get my news. We have splintered what news is across so many different things. It's like it's hard to tell. Hard to know. Hard to know what the actual answer is.
I was actually going to ask about how do you think the whole fake news narrative has really damaged journalism, even till today, how bad it still messes it up.
Good question.
Oh,
Very good question.
yes, because we still say fake news, even though we probably shouldn't even be saying that kind of shit. Like we shouldn't even actually be using the phrase fake news, but it so perfectly encapsulates kind of what this is all turned into. I'll tell you what it looks like to me. I can't tell you what the study is and what the data says, but I can tell you what it looks like. What it looked like was everybody was so thirsty for the ratings that we were just going to let it all. We were just going to let it cook. So Donald Trump can say he's about to call a press conference and every news camera is going to be there. And we're just going to keep the news camera focused. And he ain't even showed up. He's dominating 75 minutes of airtime. And he didn't even show up because everybody is trying to get a piece of whatever the market share is or whatever the data tells you that you need to look for. Is everybody's trying to get a piece of that. Like I said, we used to be able to like count page views, and that was how, you count page views, you get the ad clicks, you get the ad revenue, people are buying the shares, everybody is trying to find a way to basically just survive. And actually, I don't know if y'all remember this, but Facebook decided at some point that they were actually going to get into the news game. One of the things that they actually ended up doing that actually fucked everybody up was they told everybody that we needed to pivot to video. And there was MTV News, Buzz, all these places laid off all of their writers, they laid off all of the editors, they laid off all of their freelancers and they started hiring new people to do all this video stuff. And then we found out that Facebook was lying about the video numbers, and them telling the story of the pivot to video devastated the print version of it. And then when they lied, once we all found out that they lied about the video part, then it was like, oh, okay, so like all of this got washed out. You can't recover from that. You've been laying off and killing editorial newsrooms for X amount of years. We found out that the numbers were actually being goosed. And what are we supposed to do now?
Yeah, how do you recover from that? Yeah.
You don't, and you can't. And so you end up in a situation where somebody is able to get on television and tell lies. And it doesn't matter how fast you fact check them. People have decided that they're going to believe whatever they want to believe, and no amount of information is going to make them feel any differently. And that's why I had mentioned earlier where I felt like I was writing because I thought I could change something. But then I realized that we've all gotten collectively as a society dumber. And therefore, that kind of didn't really feel like a good way to spend my time.
Say you got a question?
Tough, man. Tough, man. Tough business. It's a tough business.
I was thinking about the person who said like facts could be altered or opinion. What was it? Alternate facts?
Alternative
That's what
facts.
alternative facts.
Mhm.
That's what this comes down to in my brain. I'm like, what do you mean?
No, I mean, there is no people aren't shamed. If you saw what was, I don't know if y'all caught what was going on with Fauci, and he went to the congressional thing and he pled the fifth the entire time that he was there because it's basically a kangaroo court situation. And
Oh,
you get on
I did see it.
Facebook, yeah, you get on Facebook and people are like, Fauci was lying to us. It's like there was
I
a
think the-
pandemic outside, brother. People
I think-
died.
But I think what I saw, this was like I think last week when I was in the gym, they were like Fauci lied about like how the vaccine was causing miscarriages, and like they were like the messages in the reports, and it turns out he's just saying like, hey, with the second shot, with the side effect being fever and like flu-like symptoms, it can lead to a miscarriage, but like it was still the same percentage that everything leads to a miscarriage. If you get a cold, it can go to that.
Man, I don't really like to. That's a lie. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. I do like calling people stupid. So let me not even do that. But it's it's actually infuriating, like how dense people can be, and then you realize that like you either of y'all ever heard of the dead internet theory?
No, but it sounds familiar. Tell me what it is.
It's
Or
essentially
tell us.
saying that like most of the people, like most of the online traffic that's happening, they're not from people, they're from bots. Most of the people or most of
Oh,
the
okay.
accounts that are on social media, they're not real people, they're bots. And so you're not
Right.
talking to like actual people, you're talking to the algorithm, more or less. But you see something like the Fauci thing, and then you go on whichever social media, whichever your version of whichever your preferred social media experience is, and then you just see people talking, and you're like,
Did we watch the same
thought you-
thing? Like
no, and so much of this is, I thought you were smarter than this. Like, these are
Oh.
people that I know, like people I went to school with, people I used to be friends with, people I used to be cool with, whatever. I've blocked so many people since COVID.
Mm.
So many.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, you not. It ain't that. Ain't it. That ain't it. However you decided that you was gonna go about doing this thing, that ain't it. I listened to the episode that you guys did when you guys talked about the very first episode. You guys talked about coming back from COVID and kind of what that experiences was like. I was working in the newsroom, and I don't know this for certain, but I do feel like I was one of the first people to actually find out that COVID was a thing, because I was working in the newsroom in like 2019 and towards like the end of December. And I don't remember which one of y'all said it. Y'all were like, yeah, y'all got sick and it was like the flu, but it felt like worse than the flu, but it was like
That was
February and
me.
March.
That was me.
Right.
Yeah, that was
So,
me.
and like that, like the last few days of December, they were talking about like it was calling it the Wuhan virus at the time.
Yes.
Oh
Virus that
yeah.
came out of China. And I remember maybe like February of 2020, like I was talking about it on Facebook and I was like, yeah, like it's not that bad yet. It's kind of just like you're gonna get, it's like it's flu-like symptoms, and you know, the flu still kills more people. And I was in the newsroom, but I don't even think it wasn't even called COVID-19 yet when I found out about it. I think I talked about it in February of 2020, and I'm not sure it was called COVID-19 yet. I think by like April, I was like, everybody, they about to shut this shit down. Peace. It was 6 weeks. In February 2020, I was like, nah, it's not that bad yet. By April, I was like, yo, hide your kids, hide your wife. Everybody need to go in the house. Everybody need to stay there. This is coming. This is happening. This is craziness. And it was like, I think like that's when I started saying, oh, this state is shut down. This state is shut down. This state is shut down. Their bodies piling up in New York City. Like it was absolutely nuts. And I'm watching people that I used to love and be friends with and be roommates with, talk about how COVID is not real. How this is a made up disease. How you could take hydroxychloroquine and you could get rid of it. How you could take a horse tranquilizer and you could get, and I'm like, what? So
My memories.
the vaccine
I
comes
hate
out.
it.
They're like, all right, we got a vaccine. We're working around the clock, blah, blah, whatever. We got the vaccine. Cool. And I'm like, yeah, sign me up for that, big dog, because I was still working in the newsroom during COVID. The newsroom cleared out. Everybody was working from home. I was still working in the newsroom. It was a skeleton crew of people, but I was still working in the newsroom. Cool. Let me go ahead and get to the pot, you big dog. Y'all got shots? How many I need? I need 2. That hit me in the arm, dog. And people, I talked about getting my first shot, and people messaged me on Facebook. Can't believe you got that shot. You don't know what's in that shot. You don't know what these people out here doing. The government, and I'm like, you're a nurse. You don't believe in medicine? Like what? What? Like how COVID-19 and Kanye West have made me block more people in a little bit, bro.
Oh my God, Kanye
Now
West.
I'm only calling him Kanye West on the podcast because the name that I actually call him is not appropriate for ears.
I don't think I have an idea what it might be, but
Yeah, but
Let's
two
leave that file.
just
Let's leave it after recording. Don't do that now.
yeah.
I'd rather you
I'll
not.
tell you after recording. I'll tell you
Yeah, I'd
after
rather you not
recording
have
what I
to.
call him.
But you just have to worry about trying to go back to work to be like, you said this one.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. No, but it's people just be out here. They just be doing craziness, man. And it's tough. It's
and
like my job is information,
I was
and
just
I'm
about to
watching.
say it. How
Yeah,
hard does it make you to do your job when you're getting overwhelmed by false information, misinformation, disinformation, and everything in between, where it's just like, no, these are the facts, people, and everybody's just like, no, I don't know. You know what I mean?
I say no.
everybody decided. Everybody decided that they were experts. Everybody decided that I don't need somebody else to tell me the information that I can go rightfully find for myself. What we've also realized is that people like, I did my research. What did you do? I went to YouTube. Stop right there. That's not how that works. Do you know what a primary source is? You know what a secondary source is. You know what a tertiary source is. If you do not know what any of those words mean, you did not do any research. That's number one. Hey, I went to Google and I was reading the AI overview. Let me stop you right there. That's not how that works. You don't read the AI overview. You can read the AI overview. The AI overview is not actually telling you anything. That's why there's links at the end of the AI overview so that you can find out where this information actually came from. It came from Reddit. You know what? That's not a good primary source, brother. You probably shouldn't do that. And we found out that actually we're not all using the same Google.
Nope.
My Google and what my Google algorithm feeds me is not going to be the same thing that your Google shows. So we were telling people to go Google things without realizing actually none of this shit.
Did that. Yeah. So they do it
None
anyway.
of this shit is yeah. So I can Google something and you can Google something, and we're going to Google the same exact thing and get 2 entirely different parts of the internet. Because that's how the internet is segregated. That's how that works. And trying to talk to people who don't know any of these things, I just don't. I'm not interested. I don't care.
Thanks.
Um,
Oh,
Is that-
I was gonna.
well, I'm sorry, Ted. Go ahead.
I was gonna say as a follow up to like that part. Also, how does it feel like as you do release these stories, just having to hear, just dealing with the people calling the work that you put out, or just any sort of comments, just other telling you how, just pretty much explaining how wrong you are, or like just insulting you for anything that you release. How does that normally feel for you?
Yeah, I don't read the comments. We've been off that. We don't do that.
So good. Good.
So and honestly, it's easy to ignore because I don't even know if that's a real person that's talking to me.
Untrue.
And I don't know if it's a real person that's talking to me, and I don't need to pay attention to that at all. That just, and if I know that I'm reading something and you are factually incorrect, there's no hope for me correcting you because there's no point. When I used to live in Pensacola, and I worked in a newsroom in Pensacola, and we ran a story. We ran a story about the new Martin Luther King Jr. statue that was going up in Pensacola. I don't know if either one of you I don't know if either one of you are familiar with Pensacola, Florida, but Pensacola is basically like Alabama.
Oh,
Same
Lord.
vibes.
I think I know where this is
Same vibes.
going.
Oh
Same
no.
vibes. So what was interesting that happened that night was that people actually called the station about the story. This is one of the first times that I've ever worked in a newsroom where people were actually calling the station about the story that we just ran. And so I don't even know why I did this, but I started picking up the phone to talk to people about the story that they were upset about. I got into a conversation with a man who was trying to explain to me why we shouldn't have a Martin Luther King Jr. statue in the middle of Pensacola, and how he was tired of the slander against Confederates because the Confederates were, he didn't say heroes, but that was pretty much what he was getting himself into. And so I asked him a series of questions, and one of the questions that I asked him was, the Confederates tried to succeed from the United States. Do you consider them traitors? He said they were not trying to succeed. And I said, okay, I'm talking to an idiot. Moving on. And I said, so what was the Civil War about? And he said, the Civil War was about economics. And I said, what were the economics of the South? He said, cotton. And I said, and who picked cotton? Slaves. And then we just sat in silence. That's what an internet comment in real life feels like. It feels like that. And so that's why I don't read them.
You entertained that conversation way longer than you should have.
Because I used to think that I could change people's minds. That was my great folly, brother. I used to think that I could change people's minds. People don't know any better. If I give them a little bit of information, I might be able. If I could change one person's mind, if I give a little bit of information, no. I just do it for the plot. I just do it for the plot at this point.
Oh
What
man,
else?
that's what you don't need to know. Like when you if you oh, that's so cute. You think that listening. I gave I was like 22. I'm like, I'm gonna do this. I learned too fast with this.
No,
You
I gave
can't.
up.
There's
I gave up a long time ago. I think it's producer Jay that still likes to.
Oh, that's my favorite. I hope he listens to this too. I love it when he argues with people in the Loading Up podcast comments when I get the chance to read it. I'm like, yeah, tell him more about this game, what it means that, yes. And watch it not get a single trade. And I'm like, yep.
Nasty work. It's
oh,
nasty
I love it.
work.
very.
So to wind this down, right?
Mhm.
Wind this down. First of all, great stuff, man. Like great stuff. This is fascinating and enlightening. I like being enlightened by our guests. Secondly, you spoke about understanding what a primary source is, a secondary source, and a tertiary source. These are things that our generation, because we're not that much younger than you. I'm only in my early 30s. We're both in our early 30s. So I think we're part of that last generation that was actually taught how to do research and how to cultivate information, good information, for when you actually want to write a paper or do a project, or if you just, if it's part of your craft or whatever. Help us understand how to filter good information from bad information, what sources we can trust, what sources we cannot trust, and lastly, what publications or news sources do you think still uphold integrity and trying to put forth the truth, if any?
Ooh.
If any.
Ooh. I ain't even gonna hold you, man. I can't even answer that last one. Which news stations, which news I can't, because even I am still finding out that places that I used to think that I could trust, I don't feel comfortable with everything that is being shown. Um, I'll give you a really easy one. I used to be a huge fan of the New York Times. It used to be like my dream. Like, I can get something up at the New York Times, man. I'll feel like I made it as a writer. I made it as a person. And then you look at some of their editorial stuff and you go, what? Why would you publish this? Even are you doing this? Why did you do that, Sharon? That's a Twitter deep cut, by the way. Why did you do that, Sharon? Like, what is happening right now? So I don't have an answer for that. That's the kindest way that I can give that to you on that front. Um, I think people need to ask more questions about what they're consuming and who they're consuming it from. If you were looking at a Twitter account or a Threads account or a Facebook account, specifically Facebook, click on the About Me part. Who is this person? Where are they located? You know what Threads is good for? Telling you where the account originated from. Sometimes it says Indonesia. Not a good look. Not a good sign. Sometimes you're reading something and then you need to go look at their bio. You're reading a story that you find engaging and the bio says Amazon associate. Probably not a good look. And so I think all of us, we've all been conditioned to think that everything is immediate. Everything is happening right now. In reality, there's no reason to rush. You can slow down. You can take a few minutes to look at what you're reading and look at who it's coming from. There's nothing stopping you from taking the information that you saw, Googling it, and see if anybody else is saying the same thing. The thing that people get caught up with, I'll give you a perfect example. Pictures with big text and no sources is a scourge of humanity. We'll see a picture of X-Men. Go back. People will see a picture of Black Panther, a picture of Damson Idris, and big text that says, Damson Idris is scheduled to play Black Panther in the next Black Panther movie. No source. Terrible AI flyer. Misspelled words on the flyer. Somebody announces that somebody else is going to be Black Panther and Black Panther 3, and everybody is upset. Oh my God, why didn't they pick Damson? Who told you that he was even in the running in the first place? Where did you get that information from? Who else made that information? Did anybody reputable say that information? So in this particular example, you might say, what's the primary source for information like that? A press release from Marvel. Marvel writes a press release that says, hey, Damson Idris is going to be the next Black Panther. That would be a primary source. Marvel is in charge of who makes the movies and who gets to be in the movies. A secondary source might be what you might consider, what the general public considers hearsay. Somebody else told me. Somebody I know that's connected to the thing told me. That's a secondary source. That person doesn't have the person telling you doesn't have direct knowledge, but they are telling you that they have knowledge from somebody else, and then that knowledge was shared with them. That is a secondary source. And then there are no sources. And people seem to be very, very stuck on the no source portion. It don't matter where it came from. If it's got a picture with big letters on it, people eat that shit up. I just saw one about X-Men and Magneto not having the origin story of being a Jew. That's not going to be part of his origin story. And people are like, "Oh my God, what's going on?" There's 100 comments in the thing. I read a story from a reputable news source today that said that Magneto is not even in the goddamn movie.
Oh shoot.
Not even a villain in the movie. People are currently arguing about Marvel changing a backstory that is integral to Magneto's character. He not even in the movie, bro.
Mm.
Slow down. Everybody can just slow down.
Mm.
That's my advice.
Brother G, thank you for joining us, man. Thank you for coming on, spending some time with us, and hipping us to the game of journalism. You're welcome to come back anytime. This was fun. I don't know. I can't speak for Tay, but I definitely had a good time
I
hearing
loved
your
it.
words and your wisdom, man.
You're welcome to join on a
Appreciate y'all
regular
having.
episode.
I appreciate y'all having me, man. Y'all can hit me up. I'm always down to come back.
Yeah, it's good to
Word.
have it's good to have good sources and good experts. So that way, when we tell Brother Jay he's wrong, he can't argue no more.
Oh, shut up. Listen, tell the people where they can find some of your scholarly works and your articles and stuff like that. If you feel comfortable sharing.
No, it's fine. You can go to ESPN's Anscape to read probably the most recent stuff that I've written. It's a little bit more sports sneaker in that particular vein, but that's kind of what I was doing over there. And I've work that I'm really proud of, and work that I really enjoyed doing. Really it. I would tell people to go to Medium, but you need a subscription to read any of that stuff. And I don't think people have Medium subscriptions anymore. But I did some excellent work over there. I had my own column. I had my own column about Black people for 6 months when I did freelance at Medium.
Right.
Did great work, made some great money.
Mm.
Miss it greatly.
Oh, that's one more thing I should have asked but forgot to. Is is journalism today as rewarding financially as it used to be, or is it still no? Okay.
Absolutely not. It
Quick
ain't no
answer.
money in this shit.
They mostly
You
give it to
don't.
the content creators now.
It ain't. It ain't. It ain't. I mean, you saw what they did to YouTube. They upped the score on what you need to be a
Yeah,
YouTube creator. So I
They
know
really
TikTok
did.
changed. TikTok changed their algorithm too for how people are getting paid out or how people are getting paid based on the views. It's hard for everybody. Everybody is struggling right now. Everybody is struggling right now, unless you're a
So does that
billionaire, in which case
Let's go to you
why
anyway.
do you be a journalism? Yeah. Does that mean does that help you? Does that make it more difficult to not enter the clickbait stage? Because it's like I know people like that the clicks is what gets people is what gets drives the ad and the revenue up. So like do you constantly fighting that I don't want to create clickbait nonsense versus
listen.
I really need to get the truth out?
Here's the
Hmm.
thing about the clickbait stuff. Unfortunately, that shit works. It works at every level.
Done.
I used to write for Bossip, which is the origin. Not I don't know if they're the originator, but they damn sure pioneered some real interesting clickbait headline practices. But what you find out is that people don't even read the article. They read the headline and then they go off into I did a hand signal that obviously you can see, but the people listening can't.
Let's run away.
But
Let's go.
yeah, nah, they take it to hell and back with the stuff.
Hey.
And so it's you don't you anytime you write a headline, your actual goal is to get people to read the story that you wrote. See, even I fall into the thing content. Anytime you write a headline, you are trying to entice eyes to read the rest of what you wrote.
Mhm.
Oh, clickbait, in a sense, has always existed. In the sense that you were always trying to get somebody to click on whatever the story is. The part where I think we've lost the plot is that the headline started becoming the full story and
Mm.
people were no longer reading the context. And so you might read a sports story and it might look this is an example of clickbait. Sports team is looking to move off franchise quarterback.
Nope.
That's not telling you anything. What it does to your mind, it makes you ask a question. Which sports team? Who's the quarterback? Let me go click and find out. That's clickbait in the most general sense of the word, right?
Okay.
That's not a bad thing, though. I'm trying to get you to read the story. If I tell you Baltimore Ravens are thinking about trading Lamar Jackson, there's no reason for you to click the story because I literally just told you what the story was in the headline. So there are practices and there are even if you, I don't know if nobody watches television news anymore, but you used to watch TV news, used to get to the end of a 15-minute, a 10-minute block of stories. And then what happens at the end, they give you a tease. Coming up next, something, yada, 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 blah, 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 blah. We'll tell you more after our commercial messages. Clickbait,
Remember?
in a sense, right? I'm trying to entice you. I'm trying to tease you with something so that you'll stay engaged with what I'm doing. So on a grand scheme, we are all trying to garner eyes and garner attention on the product that we're providing. The thing with clickbait is, like most things on the internet, people took it too far. Took it too far. And getting the clicks became it used to be that the story was the point. The click became the point. The money became the point. The engagement became the point. The data metrics that allowed us to follow you around the internet after we sold your information to whichever company that we sold it to,
Start on
that became the point. And so it's not about the product no more. You know, LeBron likes to say you got to keep the main thing. We as a society, we stopped keeping the main thing. And that's how we ended up in some of the shit that we ended up in.
That's bang on, unfortunately.
Unfortunately. But yes, once again, Garfield Hylton, brothers and sisters, journalists. Yeah, Garrett, I don't know where Garrett came from. Garfield Hylton, brothers. Once again, thank you for joining us, man. We appreciate you giving us your time and your energy and your insight on journalism and the state of journalism, the state of Black journalism too. You, like I said, you're welcome to come anytime. We know you're a video gamer, so you can check out the other podcast called Loading Up with Brother Tay, Producer Jay, and another one of our co-hosts, Brother Zay. They talk all sorts of video games. So if you want to link up with them and talk video games, those are your peoples. We welcome
Hit
you
me
to the
up,
family,
man. I'm always down.
I'm sure we will.
Is there anything you want to say before? Wait, Tay, you want to say anything before we let them go?
Fantastic time. Always lovely to learn from people.
I'm happy I was able to offer something, man. Happy I was able to do that.
Is there anything you want to say to the people before we let you go?
I hope y'all enjoyed the episode. I appreciate y'all inviting me to come talk with y'all. I haven't done this in a really long time, so if I sound crazy at some point, just blame it on my heart and not my head. No, but I appreciate it, man. I had a great time doing this, man. My girl was like super excited. She like gave me her laptop and she gave me like this special light. Like she was very happy for me. So I'm very happy to share the time with y'all. And I appreciate y'all inviting me to be here.
Shout outs to her. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
There's always gotta have a good woman in your corner, man. Also, I do want to formally invite you to do the Black Fathers Matter episode in the future. Remember I talked about that before, where we talked about fatherhood and things of that nature. So we'll set that up in the future. And yeah, we were looking forward to working with you again, man. This was fun.
Brother Jay doesn't let me on that show.
Yes, I do. You're just never available.
He never lets me go on.
You've been on several. Stop it. Cut it out.
I appreciate it.
I don't remember.
All right, man. Take care. God bless. Just talk to you soon, brother.
Must be easy, man.
Well, that was our interview with Garfield Hylton, a journalist extraordinaire. We hope that you guys enjoyed the interview. I enjoyed the interview like a lot.
I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And I hope you all learned something about how y'all should get primary sources. I'm sick of y'all. No more of this nonsense on the things. I'm sick of y'all.
Nah, real talk. He definitely put us on to like different ways and tips on how to navigate information and how to vet information. You know,
that bio trick is going to come in handy a lot going forward for me.
Oh, 1000%. It was funny because I actually kind of knew that from threads. Like you can go on somebody's profile and see where they're from, and it's just like, oh, well, yeah, we can't. We're not listening to you. You're not even in the country. You know what I mean? We're not listening to you. So, like, yeah, it was fun. I think we should definitely have him back on. I already invited him for Black Lives Matter. He's definitely gonna he's gonna definitely show up for loading up because he's a big gamer.
He definitely would. Like I said, I was gonna make the joke that he could probably producer Jay could probably call him up if I can't make it one day and be like, "Oh, come replace this man."
For
Uh,
real. And he was just an overall good guest, good vibes, energetic. He was informative, all of the above. Man, definitely glad having that brother on. You have a grind my gears? We haven't done one in a while.
oh, I had a few honestly that I've been ranting about myself privately. I think my current one is those. Oh my god, the two former NBA players doing the thing. That's been stupidity at its highest form.
Well,
Oh my god, it's
go
so
ahead.
nuts.
Go ahead.
It's it's worse because like Ian Cantor,
Ennis
former Ian
Cancer.
Cantor, aka fuck it, his name is Ian now. Ian Cantor, aka Ian Freedom, whatever. Because like the freedom came because he was trying to like what is that doing the Ukraine situation? And
Turkey.
then he was like, "Oh, Turkey. I'm sorry. Thank you." And now he's using this thing as like a full on thing, like as a grit thing sort of situation. I'm like, I always knew he wanted attention, but like now this is serious problem. And then fucking Royce White, the coon himself that's already failed whoever lost his Senate race as a Republican in the primary, so he can't even run for Senate. And he's like, "Yep, now I'm transitioning. I want to be called transgender." I'm like, "Oh Lord, just y'all doing too much. There's no reason to bring transgender people into this." And I just love bringing these people into conversations they don't want to be in. No one said anything about a transgender person in WNBA except Barbie bitch, MAGA Barbie dumb bitch over there, but we don't talk about her. She can stay over there in Indiana for the fuck I care. And that one's Sophie Cunningham, if you don't know who that is. And if you don't know who that is, consider that a blood sign. That means you in the good spaces. You got to hear dumb shit. So stupid, bro. So dumb. Oh man. I saw a video. This is soon to you, my brother Jay. I saw a video. They're like people were talking like him. It was like the voting thing came out. A lot of these white people are starting to really come together and hurt us in the line, turn into vote lines. What should we do? He voted on a package. He's like, are good, reliable, transgender panic. He's like, hasn't failed us yet. And if that don't work, he's like, what if that don't work? What if they don't get enough attention? He's like, we always go to the other reliable gender war. And I was like, damn it.
Yeah,
1-2 combo.
it's 30-0. They up 30-0 in the first quarter, like Brother Hilton said. Oh my goodness.
Jesus Christ. These goddamn never. Oh my god.
Take us out, Take us out.
Thank you so much for listening to the Studio Podcast and our interview with the great brother G, as I call him, because every time I saw his name, I thought about the cartoon. If you're listening to this on any podcast, please rate us 5 stars. Leave a comment why you like this. Leave a rating. We appreciate it. You write a comment what you're rating as you rate us 5 stars or below. Your opinion. Appreciate you anyway, because that means you listened. Which by far be if you don't like us, thank you for listening anyway. Good numbers is a good number. Fuck it. If you want to stay in touch with us, we have a TikTok page at Excuse Me Brother with ER because it's racist because Brother Jay made it. And follow us on Instagram on excuse_me_brother with an A. It's not racist because I made it, and therefore you already know what it is. Thank you so much for all the time. Thank you for giving us the time, energy, and space. Thank you for listening to the interview. Thank you for listening to us in general. Appreciate you in general. So have a good day, have a good morning, have a good night, have a good midday, have a good lunch, have a dinner. Appreciate you again your time. Bye.